Anywho, we've got our last movie this week, which was the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 70s remake. Tanner, tell us about it.
Guys, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This time, we're in San Francisco. Go watch our review of the first one if you want to know the plot. Fun fact. Towards the earlier part of the film, that guy who they hit with their car and then runs off and gets killed, that was the actor who was the protagonist from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh.
I already knew that fun fact, Tanner, so, come up with some new material. Bad fun fact. I'm kidding. That's a fun
during filming, Donald Sutherland, the main character, got hit by a car.
There we go.
No.
That's a good fun fact.
They should have filmed that and put that in that scene instead.
They should have. Well, Tanner, where are you putting this one compared to the original here? That's what I'm real curious about.
I am currently in between an A and an A-.
Oh, Dylan, how about you?
What did I put the other one at? Because I put this one at an A as well. I just don't know if that's the same rank. I think that should be a rank above, actually. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's slightly better than the original.
I think it's much better than the original. I'm giving it a B.
I'm in between like a B and a B+. And let me tell you guys why. So I would say the first 66% of this movie I thought was absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. I was really engaged, even after having seen the first one and really knowing where it was going. It still kept me on my toes. Just the pace of everything made it really feel overwhelming, I would say. They did a good job with that. I'm immediately losing my words. I thought the first 66% was fantastic. I was very engaged. The only real gripe I would say is I'm not crazy about the cinematography style they're going for with all the weird close-up shots and the fucking following things. I know what they're going for. It just kind of took me out of it a little bit. Not a big thing.
Yeah.
But once we get to the scenes where they're being chased around, it immediately just completely destroyed my immersion, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And I won't say ruined the movie for me. I still think I had a good time with it overall, but it left a sour taste in my mouth. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was just kind of stupid in a lot of moments where it looked like they were fucked, and then suddenly they're just alone and they're chilling again. And it happens 3 times, and it just eventually it just kind of wore out on me. And just kind of left me defeated at the end of it. But, I still think it was a good movie. I think they did a really good job opening it up, and then it just kind of fumbled at the end.
It definitely does start losing its steam at a certain point. I did think that, it was definitely horrific as they were, fucking running around trying to get away, and, just everybody is one of these fucking pod people now, where, when, in the taxi, and they just see that, they stop, and just, people are being fucking pulled out of cars in front of them. That shit was terrifying. But yeah, overall, I do definitely agree with Jackson that, at a certain point, it does lose its luster and overstates welcome a little too much. There are definitely great parts to be had, though. Just, as I've said many times before, a concept I always find fucking terrifying is that, the people who you're meant to depend on for, safety and, making sure society stays under control become horrifically corrupt, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, and you just have no one to turn to anymore, and this film does that very well.
Yeah, I will agree. One thing that didn't help this movie at all is the pacing at the end, and it coming to basically a grinding halt. I wish they had just maybe ended it. I get that they were kind of trying to mirror the original, but yeah, the whole stop and go that Jackson was talking about was kind of annoying. But yeah, other than that, I agree. The practical effects, as is with movies from this era, were very good. I could take or leave the whole monster screaming part, because the screaming sounded fine. I guess putting that onto a human figure was the weird part. I've just been staring at Tanner's fucking background the whole time with the guy at the very end of the movie. It just doesn't feel like it fits. That's a minor gripe, though.
Yeah, what do we think about Man Dog? What do we all think about Man Dog?
I was gonna literally ask, does that take you guys out of the movie entirely, or does it play into the horror?
Dude, I thought Man Dog was funny. It certainly took me out of it, though. Because, it's a very tense situation, and it felt like a really kind of just dumb gotcha, I would say, almost. Mm-hmm. But,
a little bit. It was, properly set up before that, but it certainly caught me way off guard when that happened.
Yeah, I agree. What the fuck was I gonna say? I can't I'm having a hard time imagining, just to reference the part I was just talking about with the guy at the end. I find it hard to imagine this woman existing in a world where if you fall asleep, you basically become one of those things. How she's... and presumably, we don't get a timeline of how long it's been since, she's been off-screen or whatever you want to call it. Because I don't remember, did they do the same thing at the end of the original, where it was just, like, the one random woman who's left unaffected by the whole thing?
No,
or
the original ends with, like, it being, like, a fucking dream sequence thing, almost.
The original ends, I thought, with, like, the dude telling, like, the police about it, and they actually believe him, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna go quarantine the town, and we're gonna take care of this. And it's all basically
fine. Yeah, he makes it into a different town, because it opens with a different town. You're like, Doc, we got this crazy guy here talking about something, and then it flashbacks to the entire movie, and then he escapes the town, and it's kind of implied it gets handled.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so they did just change the... Yeah, it is strange to just have this woman unaffected, where presumably these pod people spread throughout everywhere and sort of taken over, and she's unaffected. But, yeah, it's very funny how they have fucking Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park play the same fucking character, where they like to give him the character where he just kind of keeps talking, even if he's not, the central focus, or if somebody else is talking, he just kind of keeps fucking mumbling. That's just a small observation. He gets that character a lot. But yeah. Enjoyable movie, I suppose. It's very off-putting to see the fucking... Almost tripped my uncanny valley with the whole fucking duplicate people, but,
Some questions I have about the validity of the ending of this movie. We see the kids acting rather normally. Were those kids duplicated as well? Why do they have emotion? Why are they not acting like fucking sociopaths?
They were about to be duplicated.
Yeah, they weren't changed yet.
Interesting. I'm curious why that is. Anyways, and then also, just like the fucking super overly emotional chick that was married to the guy from Jurassic Park, it's just impossible for me to believe that she could just completely fucking stonewall in that situation, especially on like a lack of sleep and just the way that she was reacting to things earlier in the movie. But that's a minor thing. I don't really care.
Yeah, I'd say overall, I think I probably do prefer the original slightly. And the big thing is, I have a very, opposite opinion from you guys. I think the first half of this movie goes a bit too fast, and they play their hand a bit too much. I wish the trickle out of information was a bit slower there. But the second half I thought was fantastic. I thought everything from... I'd say basically everything from when our core group of 4 are shacked up forward, I think all of that is really good, and I really enjoyed that. The effects are really solid, like those fake bodies and stuff I really liked, and I think a big thing this movie improves is the aliens make substantially more sense. I rewatched our original Invasion of the Body Snatchers review, and one thing we were confused about was how the actual swap happens and whatever. And this one actually shows us, the original body basically dries up and whatever, and they have that cool reveal where there's shots of the backs of garbage trucks splattered throughout the movie, and over time it becomes filled with more and more of what looks like weird hair and dust and stuff, and you don't really think much of it at first. And then we finally see the main woman girl have the process complete on her, where her face completely dries out and she withers away, and then you're like, oh fuck, those garbage trucks are just filled to the brim with original people. And I think stuff like that is handled really well and is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Fantastic film, much, much better than the original. That thing was a fucking snooze fest. Folks, do we have anything else to say about this one?
Not really.
No.
I liked it. I'm disappointed that the ending didn't work on me, because I was really enjoying the first part of it. But it all, what comes around goes around. B.
Yeah, I'm also sticking to my B.
I'll stick with my A.
It's hard to say. This ending obviously gets pointed out for being super iconic. And whatever, my one problem with it is, like, it seems really obvious that this guy is changed by the ending. Like, I feel like it's going for us being like, oh, did he maybe make it out and he's now pretending so he can live in their world or whatever? But, like, I never, at no point was I like, yeah, that's what the thing is, you know?
Well, I mean, we see him, like, walking around and, like, doing shit that doesn't make, like, the most sense for, like, one of these pod people. Like, you know, he's, like, clipping shit from the newspaper still, which is something we see at the beginning of the film. And it's like, well, why would a pod person be doing that? He, like, walks into the lab and just, like, looks at that woman. He doesn't seem to have a reason to be in there other than looking at her. And it's like, well, why would he do that then? Like, these pod people... Go on, Jackson.
My perspective here on this ending is not even that, like, it's supposed to be, like, a gotcha thing, but it's literally just, like, seeing some insight into how these, like, aliens live. And I'm just looking at it from that perspective. I think it's more interesting. Because, you know, like, we don't actually really, like, fully, outside of, like, their operation of, like, transporting the pods, we don't really see how they, like, just operate by themselves. So it's cool to see, you know, a little bit behind the veil there a bit. Especially with, like, a little bit from the perspective of our main character turned into one. How they, like, what they actually do with, you know, their replicated memories and stuff.
Yeah, that's a neat idea, I guess. What the fuck? Oh, one thing that I found kind of interesting with how the aliens work is that, like, they're not a hive mind, like, they're not psychically connected.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because there's that moment when, like, they're all, you know, standing in lines and moving pods around, and the one guy goes, like, if you're confused, ask questions. I'm like, that's a funny thing to say.
That shit reminded me of fucking Shiki. That shit actually reminded me of fucking Shiki. Those who know, I'm tapping my forehead right now. Anyways.
I don't fully remember that series, man. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm gonna go with... I'll go with the higher of my two and put it at flat A alongside the original.
Two wolves! Two wolves!
A- overall.
Wow.
Whoa.